Hello, and welcome to another special episode of The Odd Tandem. As you can see, our backdrop is a little bit different. We just got done with a great interview. We had some amazing guests. Jens, what did you think about that?
It was fantastic. We had cycling royalty. We had Nelson Vails, Olympic silver medalist in the 84 Olympics in Los Angeles. We had Bobby being the host and a guest in the same time because he won a silver medal in the 2004 Olympics. And we had a gold medalist winner, Dygert, winning Olympics in 2024. So in this podcast, we covered 40 years of Olympic history.
And with the Olympics coming up in 4 years in Los Angeles in 2028, it just felt right to do it with these people in the room. So sit back and relax and enjoy another episode of The Odd Tandem. All right, everyone, welcome to a very special episode of The Odd Tandem. Once a year, we get together to do something like this in the same room. Normally, we're separated by a couple time zones, to say the least. So it's always good to be able to be in the same room as you, Yenzi. We got a really special show today. We got two of the most decorated Olympians in my mind. I was a huge fan of Mr. Nelson Vails when he got his silver medal in 1984. I got a silver medal in 2004. And Chloe, although she got a medal in 2016, it feels better saying that she got a gold medal in 2024. So we have 40 years of Olympic knowledge here. So we really kind of wanted to theme it like that. But we're here in beautiful Tucson, Arizona. We're here for the Tour of Tucson, and we've been here for the last 5 days at the Prologue and Prologue Plus camp. TJ and his team do such an amazing job here. They support local charities. Tour Bikes for Change is the big one, serving over 4,500 kids, giving them bikes, locks, helmets, and lights. And TJ and Tour also gives the kids free registration for the Tour Fun Ride. This year, the Boys and Girls Clubs of Tucson have raised $50,000 for each of their 6 clubhouses for a total of $300,000 for programming and infrastructure repairs at all the clubhouses. All the funds and nonprofits raised through Tour go 100% to this nonprofit. Tour starts tomorrow. You can do 100 miles, you can do 100 kilometers or 32 miles. There'll be about 10,000 riders plus or minus. And Tour is the most successful adaptive ride in the U.S. We have a huge diversity of riders participating, including 40 wounded warriors who will join the Southern Arizona Adaptive Sports Team supported by Omeo for the end of the 32 miles. And Omeo also took care of the expenses. So a little bit of housekeeping there. Now let's get to the good stuff. Jens, why don't you introduce our guests and we'll go from there.
So, to my right, Nelson Vails, winner of an Olympic silver medal in the 1984 Olympics in Los Angeles. And how cool is it? The Olympics gonna be back. It's like an entire circle is closing. And we have an actual superstar of women's cycling, Dygert, 12 times world champion, I believe, with the junior titles included, and Olympic gold medalist this year, as Bobby said. And of course, Bobby Julik, he's half host, half guest today, because he also won an Olympic medal in 2004 in Athens, a silver medal. So, Nelson, let's start with you. You won your medal 40 years ago. I don't want to rub it into you, but
yes.
Did you actually started cycling 50 years ago? How and when did you get your first bike?
Yeah.
And back then, cycling was probably an exotic sport, wasn't it?
Well, back in my day, I had Central Park. I had Trexel Town, which was their heyday of their racing. But I was introduced, from a kid at Risk Sports originally. That was done by famous sports stars, NBA players, basketball players, the baseball players, things like that out of New York City. But I excelled from a kids program to just riding my bike in Central Park to being invited to a club, which was Toga at the time. And then moved on from Toga, who got me involved in messengering as a training for racing the track, which was T-Town. And so I excelled from there. So I went from Tuesday nights 2 Tuesday nights to winning on Friday nights every Friday. I think. Yeah. 40 years ago. That was 60 years ago. Makes me feel that way.
And Chloe, how and when did you actually get into cycling the very first bike before we go to all that Olympic theme of yours? How did you get into cycling in the first place?
Yeah, honestly, cycling was just kind of like part of the family. I feel like I couldn't even tell you the first time I rode a bike without training wheels. It was just so normal. But I really did not like bikes. I hated bikes. I didn't want to ride bikes. My dad kept getting me bikes for Christmas, and I'm like, Dad, what are you doing? There was one year specifically, he got me a Trek mountain bike. And at the time, Lance was super huge, and like I didn't want to ride bikes. And he's like, Holy, but Lance Armstrong rides Trek. And I'm like, okay, okay, I'll ride, like, sure. So I started riding kind of then, I had, bikes all the time, just throughout the family. But it wasn't really until I started getting bribed with like Oakleys and like Zip wheels that I started actually racing. So.
Well, the actual Olympic medal is basically that one moment that compensates you for all the hard work that you did for years and years and years. Nelson, when you were on the podium in 1984, did you know how important that was to be an Olympic medalist right away, or did it take a little while to settle in? Because, you were the first African-American medalist in track cycling, and you changed the lives of a lot of people. I had a picture of you on my bedroom wall. I've told you this story a lot. And it was just, for me, one of those iconic photos that, as a ski racer at the time, gave me an idea of one time getting on my bicycle. But did that moment of you being on that podium really sink in? Were you able to enjoy that moment?
That's a popular question, and thanks for asking that so I can share it. First of all, just so our listeners and our viewers out there know, the best way I can describe this is, for an athlete at this level, Chloe's level, all of our levels, you don't train for the Olympic Games, you train to make the team. And then once you make the team, then you can actually train for the Olympics. So I don't think any athlete in any sport trained 4 years to make the Olympics, because you got to make the team first. And that was my stepping stone of the national team in the pursue, along with Mark Gorski. It was only 4 top sprinters during the time, and everyone was fighting for one spot at the time until the boycott. And that's where my opportunity came. And I was able to rise to the occasion because not only was there one athlete per country, but now there's 2 since the Russian boycott. And for me to be the second place guy to Mark Gorski, I also, at that time, got my silver medal, which was by an opportunity of chance because I trained to make the team. And then they allowed 2 riders, and so I was able to actually win, place, and show at the end of it all. So that was the gratitude of standing on the podium, doing the press conferences with Mark Gorski, because him and I both looked at each other, and I can remember this time where we got the announcement that there was 2 people going after the Olympic trials, that there was 2 athletes that was going to compete. And so I was number 2 on the team, and here we went. So we began our 6-week training for the Olympic Games in Colorado Springs at altitude, and altitude does work. It really does work.
Wow. What about you, Chloe? How old were you when you went to your first Olympics? I believe that was in Tokyo, in Rio in 2016. Did you have any issues making the team, any pressure? You were much younger. Tell us a little bit about that first time making the team.
Yeah, I was just out of juniors in 2016. So I really don't think I quite understood the significance of what the Olympic Games were. I grew up, of course, I knew what the Olympics were, but I didn't have cable growing up. We didn't really watch, TV or football or soccer. It's like we were outside doing everything. We weren't watching everything. So, of course, we all had these goals growing up. I had these goals. I wanted to, of course, I wanted to be an Olympian. Everybody wants to be an Olympian. But it was never really something that I ever thought or focused on. Cycling was never even in the ballpark of what I thought my life would turn out to be. And I remember, I was playing basketball. I was going to be Larry Bird. That was like my plan. And I kept getting hurt. I had multiple surgeries, broken bones, noses, all fun stuff, you know? And so my dad was just, okay, you know what? Like, no more injuries. Cycling is going to be the thing that you're going to do. So, you know, I started riding as was it my last year as a junior? I was a 18-year-old, so final year, and that was in 2015. And at the beginning of the season, I had won 11 out of 12 races that I participated in. And that qualified me into going to World Championships and in Richmond, Virginia that year in 2015. And I had won the junior category in the time trial and the road race. And with that, at that time, junior gears was still a thing. So my spinning capabilities really caught the eye of the track coach, Andy Sparks, at the time. And a month later, I was invited to come out to a talent ID camp for the track to see if I had potential for, you know, making the team pursuit team for Rio. And so it was around November, I think, around Thanksgiving time, I came out to the track. No idea what I'm doing. I'm just so grateful for the opportunity, but I'm thrown into this camp that was a decider for the next coming World Cup. And again, like, I had no idea these girls are all fighting for the, you know, the 4th and 5th spots to be able to go. And I'm just this new girl taking everybody's spots, you know? So, and of course, I have no idea what I'm doing. Crashing people. I crashed, actually, Jennifer Valente. We crashed. That was, like, really bad. She ended up getting a concussion. So, I mean, we still talk about it to this day. It was a tragic day. But yeah, so it was such a whirlwind. So I was on the track for, I had 2 camps, so maybe a week and a half on the track at a time, so 2 months. I go to our first World Cup in Hong Kong in 2016 in January. The next month, I go to World Championships in London. We win gold. We win the World Championship title. And then for the Summer Olympics, that qualified us, and we went and we won silver at the Olympics.
And Nelson, how old were you when you made the Olympic team in '84?
Wow, the age of me now to think. I have to count. 23. That was the golden age back in those days. All the winning ages was right around 22, 23 for both road and track, right around that time.
And Chloe?
I was 19 at the time, so the youngest, I think, to date.
Okay. Well, my path to the Olympics was a little bit different. I didn't get to do my first Olympics, my only Olympics, until I was 32. But I had the chance to go to, 4 during that period. So in 1992, I did not make the team. I crashed in the Olympic trials. 1996, I had a heart condition called SRVT, which was basically a super high heart rate. So I didn't make the team then. 2000, I was teammates with you. I was terrible in 2000. So I was thinking my Olympic dream was never going to happen. And then out of the blue, when I switched teams with Yenzi over to CSC, all of a sudden something changed. Like, I was able to take that parking brake, which was engaged for so many years, and just drop it to the floor. And the first qualification race was Paris-Nice. And Jens, you were there with me. I wound up getting 3rd, which was an automatic qualifier spot for the Olympic road team. And we're coming down the final Col d'Ez for the finish of Paris-Nice, and there's all of a sudden a hand on my back, a tap on my back, and it was George Hincapie, and he said, "You just made the Olympic team." And I'm almost getting a little emotional now, because I was like, wait, what? I did what? How? But at the same time, that was in March, and the Olympics weren't until August. So that negative mentality that I had of missing all those Olympics was just replaying in my head. Somebody else is going to qualify higher and take your spot. You're going to get hurt. Something's going to happen. And I did get hurt. I did break my wrist. Jens helped me through the Tour de France that year. But going to the Olympics, after missing it so many times, I think was what really motivated me. But I was going to go there for the tracksuit, because I was only going for the road race, and I really wanted to do the time trial. And then a week before the Tour de France starts, I get a call from USA Cycling, and they're like, "Lance Armstrong has given up his spot. Would you like to do the time trial?" And from that moment on, I was like, this is my opportunity. Not going there for the tracksuit now. I'm going there for a medal. And luckily happened on my first shot. That was my first and only shot. So being so young, you got on an Olympic team and achieved a dream right away. But so many of us fight. And as long as you don't give up that fight, you always have a chance. And then there's obviously a lot of people that never got to experience what we got to experience. So, kind of different pathways, right?
This is all different. I would say so, at least for me, because I would like to use the word, if I can use the word back in the day, where Eddie B was the coach. And I think that was the era of the change where Le Mans was the phenomena and everyone else was following after. And me being part of the national team under Eddie B's umbrella. The nice thing about that camp and camaraderie was that road and track camped together. It was no segregation. So it was the road guys, the women, and the sprinters sit on and turn around early. That's all I remember from my learning days of riding my bicycle as a national team member and preparing myself to try to make the Olympic team during that era. And that was 83 and 84. But then again, I got to use also back in the day, a lot of people don't know, our national team back in the day, we lived in Europe all summer long. So we start out in Moscow, end up in Tbilisi, Georgia, but then we ride all the Eastern Bloc countries, racing a little world championships like every Tuesday, Thursday. Every Sunday, there was a mini world championships with all the Eastern Bloc countries, but the U.S. team was invited to all these different countries, and Eddie B at the time had the connections to put us in a van, put us in a 2-star hotel, send us with a team of people that didn't speak English almost, but they looked after us and we raced our hearts out. And I think that was my rise as, to perform as a national team member, to make the Olympic team and then go on to win a medal. It was those 2 years of racing in Europe during the spring.
So the Olympics, it's only every 4 years, right? And winning something there, it's like you be knighted, right? For example, they probably will forever say, this is Nelson Vails, Olympic medalist. They will probably not say, hey, he won 1560 races. They will always say Olympic medalist. Bobby, they're probably not going to say, this is Bobby Julich, winner of Paris. No, they're going to go, this is Bobby Julich, Olympic medalist. So how did you feel the days and weeks after? All three of you, did you feel an immediate impact? Like walking across the airport, people go, hey, I've seen you at the Olympics. Have that happened to all of you? Starting with you?
I'm a fan of Chloe. So
right,
for me, it was overnight success. It was like literally the next day from winning that medal and being the first African-American and being some kid from Harlem, the whole messenger story. But I got a chance to watch your rise on TV because, again, I had old school TV, turned the knob. Didn't have remote control, but I'd rather for Chloe to tell her story.
Yeah, I think that's a tough one. I feel like I very much look at my career as a job, as a career. I feel like I struggle taking the time to actually appreciate the accomplishments of what I do because I don't look at it as, I'm going to reach this goal so I can celebrate. I look at it as I'm going to reach this goal. I'm going to accomplish this because that's what I'm supposed to do. That's what I want to do. That's what I need to do. And once I do it, okay, all right, good. Next, let's move on. All right, good. But I do wish, at the Olympics, especially after having my accident a couple years ago, I really have found that, I'm really learning to appreciate and just really understand the level of who we are as athletes at the Olympics and seeing all of these amazing people. It's I take it for granted, I feel like, and I need to really soak it in and understand that this is once in a lifetime, and it's such an honor. It's such a blessing to have this God-given talent, ability. And yeah, I've just really started to realize how actually incredible it is to be, at this level.
Wait till you retire and do all the VIP rides and stop at the rest areas, take pictures with people. That'd be fun. I'm trying to get Rasan to retire and ride with me sometime.
Since we're trying to blend 40 years, I'll give my little experience there. I mean, I guess in professional road cycling, Olympics is just kind of like a special race, but then it's on to the next one. So I got the medal. That was fun, walking through the village. We had one of the first medal events, so not many of the other athletes had seen a medal. So you walk through and they're coming up and asking to see it, to touch it. But yeah, then you just kind of put it away and then you get on to the next races, right? But it was so special, especially after I retired, because the moment you retire, you start your downward curve of being insignificant, right? Like you're no longer racing, you're no longer in the spotlight. But I had my medal, and I want to ask you guys this, the next question. I had my medal. Well, actually, Chloe has her medal right here, but we'll get to that in a second. I always wanted to share it with people. And you say, hey, can I take a picture with that? And no, you have to put it on. And they would say no, but they really meant yes. I think everybody who's had that opportunity with Chloe so far, there's that no. And then when you put it on, it's pretty amazing. But I kind of forgot that I had it. And then there was a gentleman that came into my house to fix my Wi-Fi, and the router was on top of like a big shelf. And I had the medal down on one of the other lower shelves. And as he got his ladder up to get up there, he looks down and he goes, "Is that an Olympic medal?" And I was just like, "Oh yeah, I forgot about that thing." But now having Olympian next to your name is a pretty cool thing, just to make the Olympics, but then to be an Olympic medalist is pretty special. But so Nelson, where do you keep, without getting in trouble, where do you keep your Olympic medal? Is it out for people to see, or do you have it stashed somewhere?
It's actually out when you walk in the front door. There's a stack of medals. Well, let me reword that. Oh, that sounds so bad. It sounds so good, bad. Winning is everything. So, it's a steps of medals from the Pan Am Games, the World Championships, the Olympics. It's almost like I cherish my silver medal from the World Championships equal as well as all the other ones, because it was so hard to get that one. It was just one of those races. And just to put a little bit of history to you guys and our listeners out there, I was fortunate enough to race 8 years after the Olympics, 8 years as a professional, racing year-round on the track. The only American, happened to be an African-American, but the only American that I know of in modern days history, I race year-round in every country, every indoor, outdoor track. For 8 years as a professional, along with some other cyclists. But it was part of a program that I was fortunate enough to be a part. And that was the job at the time, because that was my professional career. But now that I can look back at that stuff and look at my medals, when I walk in the door every day, I see my medals. And it reminds me of it's, I'm still relevant. I got a Wikipedia page. I'm cool.
Well, Chloe absolutely dunks on all of us, because what is in that little Oakley sack right there?
Yeah, my Olympic medal is in here. I brought it. Well, actually, our good friend Pam told me to bring the medals. The medal. I brought the gold medal with us. So
how cool is that?
Yeah, it has a little piece of the Eiffel Tower in it. So
and
really neat.
Chloe has been so amazing at our prologue camp, and she's been so open and told so many great stories to everyone that's here. And the funniest one, I think, because you've been dropping nuggets on us, for the last 5 days, was, "I'm sorry, there's a scratch on the side of the gold medal, because, when I had my 2 Olympic medals, they were clinging together."
Yeah.
And I don't think anybody said anything, but we all looked at each other like, wow, that's a big problem to have, that none of us in the room have to worry about. I just love the way that you brought that you've been so gracious allowing people to touch it. I think that's amazing. This thing is heavy. I mean,
It is heavy.
You have one not nearly as heavy, right?
No, mine's is
Myself
lightweight
as well. And like you said, that it has a little bit of the Eiffel Tower in it. That's even better.
French go all out. They got it. They did a nice program.
Yeah, so the piece of the Eiffel Tower and then the front. You can't see the scratches from there.
But to have 2 of those, that's like weightlifting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So when you're at the Olympics, of course, you focus on your job first and successfully win a medal. Did you had like other moments at the Olympics where you go, wow, that was so cool? Like I remember myself, my very first Olympics, 2000 Sydney, I walk into the dining hall and everybody was just a perfect human being. Everybody was just at the high of his youth, health and beauty. People, I swear, people wouldn't even touch the ground when you walked. You could, I swear, if you put a cable in that room, in the dining hall, you could light up the entire city of Tucson. That much energy was in it. That was one of these moments where, wow, I will never forget that. And another one was Steffi Graf was there. She won the Olympics 2000. I'm like, Steffi Graf, super. I mean, when would me as a cyclist, when I would ever see a superstar like her, right? Did you have any moments where you go, it was not my job, but wow, that was a cool moment. Did you have any of that experiences? Well, for example, did you see any superstars back in your days out there?
I don't want to top that story. How's that? But I got a chance. I hung out with Evander Holyfield.
Oh, but there you go.
You see, so we actually was late for the medal tour plane. We were at the United Terminal when we were supposed to be on the tarmac in a special bus to get to the planes to go on this big tour, and they came and got him and I. Me and Evander Holyfield, we were late for the plane, and so I hung out with Evander Holyfield. But that was about it. During the Olympics, right after closing ceremonies, we were supposed to go somewhere, and we were late. We were hanging out.
Yeah, I mean, the people always ask, like, what's the one thing that, is so cool about the Olympics, and just like you said, like being in the dining hall. If you think about it, everybody who is there is the Michael Phelps of their sport, of their country. There, whether they win or lose, they are at the top level to be an Olympian. So they are the Michael Phelps of their sport. And it is pretty amazing if you think about it. You are there with literally the best athletes of all time. And it's, I'm getting chills saying it. You know what I mean? It's the most amazing atmosphere, and it's just such a beautiful event. And, yeah, it's just something I feel like I need to stop taking for granted now that I keep telling everybody about it. I'm like, well, wait a sec, man. I gotta appreciate this more.
My experience there was we were going through the processing where you basically get all your kit, right? And we come out after going through like the little maze and filling up your bag with all your stuff. And we come out and there's like probably 20 bags of Burger King hamburgers and French fries on this table. And I'm like, I'm just going to grab one of these. And they're like, no, these are for the NBA guys. The dream, not the dream team, but, the big guys. And I'm like, I got to see these guys. They're right behind us. All we have to do is like sit here and pause for 5 minutes. And when LeBron, who was a rookie at that time, it was definitely his first Olympics, when he walked out and went over and grabbed that bag, it was the first time I realized how big those basketball players are. And they just filed out one by one. We're sitting there like these little skinny cyclists with weird tan lines, and they just look like these Greek gods, muscle popping out of everywhere. But yeah, there's something special, like you said, walking around and realizing you're kind of in a special place at a special time that no one can ever take away from you. And not everyone came away with a medal, but we all came away with stories. And we talked about this. I was there to do everything. I wanted to go to the opening ceremony, the closing ceremony. We couldn't do that. So I was like, I know this may not be cool, but I'm going to trade pins with people. So I had all these pins, and every time I traded one, I'd put it on my lanyard, and I still have that. That's probably just as important to me as my Olympic medal. But we were talking, you did the same thing, right?
Yep.
Nelson, I'm curious, back in 1984, did you trade pins back then as well?
Actually, we were kind of different. Can I say that? We stayed in a hotel. So you guys tell us dorm story and stuff like that. We were Eddie B's kids. We stayed in a hotel. And so we didn't have any interaction with anyone. I stayed a mile from the velodrome. I didn't have to take a bus or anything. We rode our bikes to and from the velodrome. The road riders, the same thing for the TT guys. They can ride right from the driveway of the hotel to the start. So yeah, it was a different life back in 84, not to have the trading pins experience or being in the dining hall with others. I
feel like that's pretty common, because for us this year, the velodrome was so far away from the village itself. So for the road stuff, I stayed in Paris at the village, but we moved after the hotel for the velodrome races.
Yes,
So.
and that's where from LA to get to Carson would have been hectic, and so we stayed right next to the velodrome at the time in Carson. So that was my experience, but never had any interaction with the kids other than on the track when we were there.
And what do you folks think? What is the same since your Olympics until Chloe's Olympics, or what has changed? I mean, Olympics probably gotten a lot bigger. Is bigger better, or was it more
I
friendly,
think the
more
equipment.
easygoing at your days, or is bigger better and it's just better now these days? Well, what do you guys think about that in the 40 years we cover here?
I think the equipment from mechanical to electronic and lighter weight of everything now, even the technology of wearing a jersey, to the first ooh la la skin suit that I had with plastic covered that was made from Pearl Izumi. That was the technology back then. You had to dry yourself off and put it on with baby powder to slide into this rubber suit at the time. But that was the latest and greatest at the time, and it was kind of wow to have that wow factor, and then to be on the grand stage and be on TV every day because I was winning my rounds. So that was kind of nice, but that was the best part of my experience.
Yeah, I would say I've had the opportunity to meet Eddie Merckx, and I had the ability to see some of his gear and things that he used back in the day. And he brought out his hour record skin suit. That thing is wool. It is not a skin suit. It is not fast at all. And so to see just the advancements of just everything, helmets, skin suits, material, wheels, pedals, shoes, skin, shoe covers, everything. It's pretty amazing, just like the level that, everybody's pushing the limits to. Because, at the end of the day, I feel like it's getting to the point now where, like, even if you're the strongest rider, someone could beat you because they're more aerodynamic than you, and that's kind of scary if you think about it.
It really is amazing. I kept the skin suit that I used in the Olympics, and I have it hanging in my office, and I often go over there and look at it, and the thing was like a flag, right? And now you see the stuff that's coming out, and it's only get more and more. And when I look at the technology on the bikes, I'm just like, man, if I would have had that bike, I could have gone 8 seconds faster, and I'd be sitting here with a gold medal like Chloe. But let's get to the day that you won your medal. You won 2 of them, so let's talk about the gold one. The mentality. I was super relaxed. I was kind of blown away, and it felt like, listen, you've done all the work. You just need to go out there and execute. So I wasn't nervous, but you hear about people puking in trash cans and, being all nervous and, maybe freaking out and still being able to perform. How are you mentally right before you had your Olympic gold winning ride?
I think just like you said, like you knew you were in a place to be able to be 100%, whether you won or not. That you are at a point that you can give 100% and you're going to be happy with that ride. Where I feel like every games that I've been to where I've done an individual event, I can't say that I've gotten to the start line saying I am 100%. I know I can win this race. And that has been the hardest for me with all my injuries. And so mentally for me, this year specifically, was it was very hard for me to, and I'm realistic, everybody's like, well, you need to be positive. You need to think positive. I'm realistic, like I know my body so well. I knew immediately 3 minutes into that time trial that I was not having a good day. And it's not a mindset. I didn't lose because I had a weak mindset. I lost because I just wasn't there. I wasn't 100%, and that's just, how it goes sometimes. But for the team pursuit, I would say I had a team to rely on. So the stress level was definitely way down compared to the time trial, because it's a team effort. It's a team event. And I have so many people to rely on, and they rely on me. And it's a different feeling. It's a different, it's hard to explain, but yeah, it's, how I felt in the individual events compared to the team pursuit where we won gold, was, immensely different for sure.
Wow. That's hard to follow. That's good. Well, from my experience, again, we went over a 4-day period and round after round. But for me, racing as an individual on a team, Each ride was nerve-wracking. From the first ride to the round to beat the Frenchman to get to the gold medal round, I rode so nervous each round. And I ran for my life. How's that? I raced for my life because I was on this grand stage. I was this kid I was one of the fastest ones there, pretty much. And I knew it. But then again, it was that what if? What if they pull something? Well, they tried something and I already went through that in training. So let's go to the next guy. So it was round after round where it's like, okay, the confidence was there, but I was still nervous to say who's next as I punched tickets to go to the next round because I wanted to win my ride and go back to the hotel. If you lose your ride, you stay and have to play. And once I learned that game, it was like, all right, let's win and let's go. And that was it.
And it's the Olympics. So have you at the start line then going really for your medal? Have you ever considered it's not just mom and dad watching you? It's like 100 million people. Have you ever considered that? And did it make you more nervous? Or you go, nah, I don't care about that. I'm racing for this moment for my friends or my family or my team. Or have you ever thought half of the world is watching me right now?
I smile because you say that. The cool part is when people are yelling your name. So you're on this grand stage. You're the main character for soap opera, and it's about to happen and people are watching, all eyes on you. And that was the motivation of the nervousness because I got all these people watching me. They're yelling my name. I can't lose because then you won't watch, things like that. So I had 37 minutes of airtime I learned over time from ABC because I kept winning my round after round. And it would keep going back to Nelson Vails and New York City Bike Messenger. Let's see what he's going to do this next round. So, and I still have those footages and I watch it. And some of it is on YouTube. So you can watch it.
Well, this is obviously an Olympic-themed pod that we're doing. In 2028, the Olympics are returning to Los Angeles. We have a lot of work to do. The riders have 3.5 years to prepare. You and I are long since retired. Chloe's going to be living this whole process. What do you think it's going to take, Chloe, to reach the goal of the medals that USA Cycling has set, which I think is like eight medals in Los Angeles? What do the young kids, you're well supported, but there's a lot of kids out there that are just getting the Olympic bug and may be able to make the team. What do the young kids need to fulfill their Olympic dream in Los Angeles in 2028?
I think one of the major things is setting your standards high. I think, for example, like whenever I'm racing, whenever I do something and I win or, I break my world record, it's still not good enough. You know what I mean? Like, I won, sure I got the record, but it's not the time that I wanted. It's not how much I didn't win by enough. I didn't win by the amount that I wanted to win by. And I feel like if you just settle for mediocrity, it's not going to get you anywhere. You need to be above. You need to think above. You need to push above and set the standards high. And I think nowadays everybody kind of just does enough to get by, and especially with how we want to accomplish all of these medals, you can't just be someone to do enough to get by. You need to push the limits. You need to push the buttons. You need to piss people off. You need to do everything to make sure you can get that spot and win that spot. And I think, as a young kid, you need to learn to be mean. You need to learn to be selfish, and but only, in the regards to being an athlete and being a sportsman. There's a time and place to be selfish. There's a time and place to be a teammate. There's a time and place to be respectful and kind. But I think, once you learn the ability to be a hungry athlete, only going for gold, that right there is going to turn, not just podiums. It'll turn, gold medals into everybody's pockets. And I think that's what we need to aim for and achieve.
And Nelson, since you won your medal in Los Angeles and Olympics are going back there, Are you going to play a role there? You're going to be there? They're going to call you up on stage one more time to circle that velodrome? Or are you going to be like an advisor for the track program? Right? You better keep him on there. Exactly.
You know, I really don't know the answer to that, but I can share my dream with all of you and the listeners out there. And someday you will have a better understanding. During the 84 games, it was so cool to meet the stars, the track stars before me. They were all there as VIPs in the VIP section, dressed up with their families and stuff like that. And it's like, I can't wait to be that VIP old dude in the stands watching the kids race. So as far as opening or have something to do, I'm just looking forward to sitting here, chilling in the VIP section, eating the VIP food and watching the kids race. Can I use that word, kids?
Absolutely.
Yeah, watching the kids race. So you go, girl. I'll be up there like this. You look up, you see me up in the box seats. That's it. Anybody want to join me, you can welcome. I have food and everything up there.
I hope to be right there next to you, my friend.
Okay, come on up.
know.
Come on up.
Yeah.
I'll have a box.
We'll get a couple lanyards.
It'll be Nelson Vails
get some
Suite
pins
at
maybe
the track
create a couple
cycling
pins.
event.
Chloe, you've blessed us by being here this week, and you've said so many things. But last night at the dinner table or the lunch table, you mentioned that this was your third Olympics, and you want to do 4 more. And I think all of us that were at that table, like, kind of were shell-shocked, myself included, until I went upstairs and I was thinking about it. I was just like, wait, 4 more years, that's 16 more years. You want to do 4 more Olympics. Tell us about your plan there and why you've already set, I'm not going to do 1 more Olympics or 2. I want to do 4 more. I mean, that just blew me away that you're already thinking like that when you're basically, your medal is still fresh from this year.
Yeah, so in 2016, my first Olympics in Rio, it was my coach, Kristen Armstrong's final Olympics where she won her final gold medal in the time trial. And at the time, our CEO of USA Cycling, Dygert, he made a comment, well, if Chloe races as long as Kristen Armstrong does, she'll go to the next 6 Olympic Games. So that's where the goal started, and that's why I'm sticking to it. But again, like with my accident, it kind of disrupted a few other goals that I had in plan. But again, like I'm not gonna continue if I'm not winning. If I'm just a participator, I'm not gonna continue. I don't do participation medals. I don't like to just be a pack filler. I go to win. I don't train as hard as I do to just lose, and go through the pain that you do. And so the goal is to go to the next 4 games to win the events that I'm attending, not to just show up and participate.
And for you folks all winning an Olympic medal, would you just like sit back and go, yep, that was the moment. My entire career came to an happy end, or the best moment in my career, winning that Olympic medal? Would it be like clearly that far outstanding, or you go, yeah, it was okay, but yeah, I had many others, or is it like, no, this is the moment?
Yeah, I personally, I feel what Chloe's saying in her words. Winning is everything, and I come from that era, so I didn't know anything else other than being in the finals and being on top. And it was a nice lesson to learn along the way that you train hard, you play hard, and you win on Sundays. That's all I knew from training. It's like if I do this on Tuesday and do this on Thursday and rest on Saturday, I can win on Sunday. Once that light bulb kicked in, it was kicking while they're down every weekend. And that's what my goal was. Training in and training out winning was everything. I think I woke up living that way.
Well, we know there's going to be a lot of young women motivated by you, by wanting to be you. Do you remember that first person that you saw in the Olympics that had a special, like that first person that won that medal or participated in the Olympics that motivated you and your Olympic dream? For me, I thought I was looking at the skiers, Phil Mayer, Steve Mayer, Bill Johnson, Sarajevo Olympics 1984. I thought I was going to get to the Olympics that way. But then a gentleman by the name of Alexei Graywall, he lived in the valley in Colorado where I lived. And my dad was a UPS driver up there in Aspen and delivered to his dad's bike shop, ski shop. And that image of a guy that's right up the valley from me won an Olympic medal, and that kind of changed my trajectory, and I switched to cycling and was able to accomplish a dream of getting an Olympic medal. But who was that for you, Nelson? Was there a single person?
It was the actual step of the team. The motivation came because the women rode first in the morning, so there was 2 medals. Then Alexei did his thing that afternoon. So now the road is done because we didn't do opening ceremonies, right? And now the track program starts, and all the track guys are looking around like, can I use the word? Holy crap. What are we going to do now? And that's where I think the track, we all excelled because it's sad to say that there was 2 people on the team, I think, that didn't get medals on the track team. It's kind of sad when that happens. And we won't name names, but I think it was 9 events, 11 medals. I think. I can't remember anymore from all of us. But it was one of those situations where, the road guys is the ones that did it all for me because they raced and then the track followed. And then after that was the 100K team time trial, which they excelled with a bronze medal as well. So I thought that was kind of nice to be part of that era of a team where everyone on the national cycling team came home with a medal that year.
So how about you, Chloe? Was there one person that really set you on your destiny of going to the Olympics?
I wouldn't say I was so much motivated by one person in particular. I feel like I knew what the Olympics were, but I didn't, other than seeing like those, like Paula Ono or like the super famous one person Olympics that were all over the commercials. I think I was highly motivated on movies like Rocky and seeing the like Steve Prefontaine movies of like hearing the sounds, like the Olympic theme, and it's like I can think that right now, and it's like I have certain songs that I only listen to when I'm warming up, or like if I hear the Olympic theme song, it's like gets me going, and it's like it's not so much one person, it's just the feeling you get when you see an athlete, when you see someone achieving the unachievable, and it's like that's what I look at the Olympics as is achieving the unachievable. And I think everybody competing and everybody a part of the Olympics is achieving that. And that's, I think, kind of what I looked at more so than the person itself.
When you, for sure, after Olympics, you had like this tour showing your medals and all that. When you go and see kids, for example, and they look up to you, like whatever, little kiddies go, oh, that was so awesome to watch you at the Olympics. Do you sometimes feel a little bit more responsibility? I'm an Olympic medalist representing my country. I got to behave well. I got to basically get my life in the right direction. Got to get my life under control to lead by example for all these kids. They might follow my footsteps. Do you feel a bit of that responsibility sometimes?
Well, I know for me, I did because I did go on tour as well, the medal tour. And it was such an honor to be able to present and show the medal and tell my story. But to be able to speak to the kids at risk, that you too don't have to be a bad kid. You can go on to do other things. And I thought those are the more memorable moments during that time of right after the Olympics to be able to do tour stuff like that. And that was mainly from the mayor's program in New York City and growing up in Harlem. I think that was part of the big story of you too. You have choices to make, things like that.
Yeah, I think I just went after the Olympics this time. I went back to my hometown and I went to my high school, and they actually pulled aside all of the female athletes, and they let them come into our auditorium and they let me speak. And I can remember when I was in high school and we had someone come and do exactly what I was doing. So me sitting there talking to them, the first thing that I said was like, I used to sit in these seats you guys are sitting in. Whenever we have a track team coming for talent ID camps, I say the same thing. Like 10 years ago, I was sitting in these seats. It's like, I am just like you. You guys can do anything that you put your mind to. And I think that's one of the coolest things is not being on a pedestal for everybody to look at and see, but being a relatable person that like, you know what, I am just like you. I have a medal around my neck, but at the end of the day, I go home and eat and brush my teeth just like anybody else does. And you guys all have the ability and capabilities to do anything and everything that you really want at the end of the day.
You said something a little bit earlier about that you just don't want to participate. But when you're 16 years into retirement, like myself, participation and pleasure for me outweighs the placing and pain. And tomorrow we have a 100-mile or a 100K or a 32-mile event here. What do you think that these sort of events do for the community? Are we possibly going to be inspiring maybe a young kid to go, fulfill their Olympic dream in the future?
I would like to say yeah, because again, as Chloe said, I was one of those kids as well, the Century Park events and things like that, the Kids at Risk program. So I think for many of the kids that are joining us from the reservation as well, they have an opportunity to see that and be that. And of course, this is such a great event. Most families, and for the parents that are listening out there again, don't force your kid into doing the event, but hopefully you can get them to enjoy the event and not try to have them live vicariously through you as well. I try to promote that, but I'm looking forward to tomorrow to hopefully shaking some hands and saying hi to some of the folks that just want to get out there and do something for themselves as far as fitness wise.
What are you going to do tomorrow, Yenzi? Are you going to do the 100-miler, or are you going to...
I heard you're not. I heard you're going to be a little baby and do the baby race.
Yes, I am. Because I know my limits. I passed 50 years of age and I am retired. The word retired is written in capital letters. Retired. So I'm doing the 100K, 63 miles.
You're going to stop at the rest stop?
Yes, to talk to people. Yes, I'm here to be social, to shake hands and kiss babies. Yes, that is my job for tomorrow.
I'll ride with you then.
Yeah, we're going to be a good team.
Yes.
I still have not decided what I'm doing, but I'm going to go out and enjoy myself. This is an amazing town, an amazing organization here at the Tour of Tucson. They do all the hard work. We get to hang out here and, host camps and go to VIP areas and ride with people. But Nelson, it took a long time to get you on this podcast, and we knew that we had you right in front of us, so we had to do it. So thank you so much for making the drive from home. Chloe, it honestly has been an absolute pleasure getting to know you, and thank you so much for taking your time today to come on the Odd Tandem.
Oh, thank you. I'm happy to be here.
And also from my side, I cannot thank you enough. I mean, legends of cycling, or royalty of cycling, so to speak, Olympic medalists. So yeah, it was an honor to be part of this podcast and have these special guests at these special occasions. So thanks a million from my side as well.
Hey guys, thanks for listening to the podcast. This was a special one for us. It was a little bit quirky, technical wise, but I think we're going to come out with a great podcast with Nelson and Chloe. Don't forget to keep dropping your comments in for us. Like, subscribe, tell your friends, and go to our Patreon channel in order to make sure that you keep this podcast going.